is just so important. Because we take each other for granted all the time.
100%. And I'll just say for us as parents. So think about almost do an examination of what are the words you say to your kids?
Yes.
And how many times are they directive? How many are they logistical or operational, right? Like, did you get the trash out? Hey, get the dog, feed the dog, wash the dog, blah, 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 whatever it might be. Like, don't do this, do that. And we're just busy. We're just busy. We're doing a lot of things. We're trying to herd these cats of our family craziness and whatever. and we need to take a pause and say, you know what? One day a year, I think we can actually say we're all going to focus in on this person, because you know what? We say this often. You don't want your kids to feel like they're one of the herd. I think there's a great tragedy, whether you have a small family or a large family, that your kids are lost and they're treated as if they're all generic.
Yeah.
This says you as an individual, you as a person,
you are different.
You are different. You are gifted, unique. You are loved,
seen.
And you're
seen. Those kids need to be seen. And I think back on sometimes with certain children who we would be having a really difficult time with.
Yeah.
And then their birthday comes around and there's a part of this this kid is driving me crazy. Or this child has caused me so much heartache this past year, and then to be like, you know what though? I'm not focusing on that at this moment. Right now, my job is to affirm them.
Yeah.
Not to correct them, not to teach them. And it's literally just to affirm them and call out what is good in their lives.
And I think,
and sometimes that's hard when they're driving you crazy, but especially if you're in a bad or a difficult season with them. But it's even more important, probably.
I think back to the dad's course that I had, where this one father admitted to the group, he's like, as we were talking about loving our son, in this case, father-son situation, where he was like, you talk about treating my son as if he's a beloved son. He says, I realize I actually see my son first and foremost for all his weaknesses, all the things that I want him to be that he's not yet.
Yeah.
And I think that what we need to do is flip that around. Now we can do more of that and we ought to do more of that on a day-to-day basis. But what we're trying to do is you have the choice in your words of being a blessing or a curse for your child. And I use that pretty significantly, right? Meaning, are you speaking blessing into the life of your child?
Yeah.
Are you looking at what God put there, the gold that is being refined, the gold that you want to draw out? Because they say that if there's something that you want, you focus on it. Meaning,
if you want your child to do more of something,
you honor what they are stepping out, right? So if you see, you're like, okay, I really want, and you don't do this simply to teach them or to manipulate them, but it's like, okay, I see how generous you are in these situations.
Yeah.
Not 100% of the time in all the scenarios, but in these situations, they are really caring. They are really loving. Maybe they have a hard time with their sibling, but then a young friend, they're going out of their way. Like, call that out. Call the blessing in that. Look at them as the Father looks at them.
Yeah.
And speak those words. That's the words that I keep thinking of. That when you say blessing, it's like you're helping forge for them who they really are.
Yeah.
And your words are calling that out, kind of imparting on them, right? The impartation.
I was thinking about Jimmy, our son, how he just had a birthday, and of course, and like all teenage boys, he has conflict with his brothers and sisters, but he is but he is very kind. But on his birthday, how so many people talked about how kind he is to his nieces and nephews, and how his face just lights up and he's so patient with them, and it's like, we could focus on, Jim, hey, you can be better here. But no, on his birthday, we're going to call out, you are kind.
Right.
I have seen you be kind, and he really is. And then that encouraged him to be more of that.
Encourages him. And then it actually helps form his identity.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Because one of the things we always, we said this in the beginning, talking about family culture, it's about conferring an identity. And so when you say these words, you are a kind person. You are loving. You are generous.
Right.
You are disciplined, and you're getting, and you're giving them example. You're not just fluff. We're not talking about just what's the word? Like kind of syrupy sweet or platitudes. We're talking about substance, right? And then we know our kids will know BS, and they can feel and say, wow, mom and dad thought that about me.
Right.
My siblings thought that about me.
And that's why when we give instruction on how to honor their brothers and sisters when they're younger, we say, you can say, I want to honor you for being kind, but then you need to give an example. Right. So we always tell them to give a concrete example. And we do that too.
That's right.
We say, for example, like, for Jim, one of his siblings actually even said this. We didn't even say it. They said, Jimmy, I just admire you for how disciplined you are, because I see you making the sacrifices for your football team and being on time and doing everything you're told to do and watching what you eat and eating healthy. And I see you doing that. And I really admire that discipline in you. Yeah. And so it's one thing to say you're really disciplined, but then it's another thing to say you're disciplined and this is what I see.
That's right.
Or you are kind and this is how I see you doing that.
Yep.
And so teaching our children how to do that, but then also that child is receiving their identity, not just from mom and dad. And see, this is the thing about family culture that we want you to understand. Family culture is not just mom and dad.
That's right.
Everybody in the family. So that child who is being honored is receiving that identity not just from us, but from what their siblings and sometimes, in-laws, for us anyway, because we have an older family, but what they see in them.
Yeah.
That is so powerful.
Yeah.